Hi, everyone. Welcome to Paction's webinar series on how to take better photos of your puppies and dogs. We're taking the opportunity to share ultimate tips and expertise from Canada's best pet photographers, all in celebration of National Dog Photography Day. I'm Brooke, one of the co-founders of Paction, and we're excited to support our community of reputable and intentional breeders across Canada. We really, truly want to support you in success. So today we have Catherine of Vancouver Pet Photography with us. She's going to share 3 short videos featuring her top tips for using a smartphone at home for photos, how to capture puppy cuteness, and best practices for outfits, bow ties, and props on your puppies. Catherine will also talk a little bit about the value of good photos and why they're so important. So just quickly, at Paction, we're committed to supporting the best breeding programs across Canada. And we realize that being an excellent breeder doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be a great digital marketer or photographer. But taking better photos is a great way to attract more attention and to open the door for you to really showcase the meaningful aspects of your breeding program. That's why we've created this series for all of you. So with that, let's hear from Catherine.
Okay, so thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm gonna be sharing some tips on how to get amazing photos of puppies and dogs at home that I think is gonna be a very good resource, especially for breeders that wanna improve their photography for the little puppies. Um, so yeah, here is a little bit of an introduction from me. I'm Catherine. I have been a pet photographer for the last 8 years. I have plenty of experience with not only dogs, but cats and other kind of like domestic pets. And it's such a fun job, but it's not always easy, as like many of you can relate to this, because you cannot really tell a pet what to do, right? So, it's different from people when you can actually pose them, with dogs. Depending on their level of training, it could be a little bit simpler, but in general, it's a little bit harder to, make them do specific things. So we're gonna be talking a little bit about that, about how to, get natural and candid expressions, without the need of like being like posing necessarily the dogs, but still getting their personality shining through the images and all that. So yeah. So many of you may ask why great photos matter. And I feel like, as any other business, first impressions always count. Of course, you have like, families looking for puppies, and usually the first contact that people have with any kind of like business is through their website. So if you have listed or even like social media beautiful pictures of the puppies, I think that's gonna make the parents be more excited about meeting them and, possibly purchasing them. So yeah, like high quality photos, of course, will show that you're a professional business and that you care about, like quality and all that. And also they can boost your reputation, and especially in social media, I feel like it makes a difference between like the visibility that you can get and how people see your business. Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing my top 3 tips about how to get better pictures of dogs. And the first one, and I feel like the most important one, is lighting. Having good lighting is very important. Lighting is everything in photography. And you don't really need any professional equipment or any professional lighting to get good pictures. even you don't need a professional camera. I feel like cell phones now have very good capabilities, and you can get beautiful pictures with cell phones as well. So here are a few things that you need to consider regarding lighting when taking picture of the puppies. One is choosing the best time. And I feel like this is very important. In my case, for example, when I'm doing outdoor sessions, I always pick either very early in the morning, but my favorite is really the evening when the sun is not too harsh, because then you avoid all the heavy shadows and things like that. So I feel like looking for like a soft light is better. Even like here, for example, in Vancouver, that we have a lot of rain, overcast days actually tend to be the best because the clouds, they actually diffuse the harsh lighting and make it a little bit flatter and even, and that's a very good condition for pictures because again you don't get those like harsh shadows. So I will recommend like maybe setting up a nice little space outside to take the puppies and take pictures. Then try to avoid overhead lighting. That's not very good, especially like in-house lighting is not the best, so I wouldn't recommend that. Direct flash for pets is a no-go because they usually looks like aliens because their eyes are different from human eyes on the way that they reflect the lighting. So yeah, like the flash from the camera or the cell phone is not a good idea to use directly through their faces. And also try to avoid any dark indoor corner. So when it comes to like if you don't have a backyard, for example, I would recommend setting up near to a window that have like plenty of like lighting coming through, and that will help to get a better light overall and get better images of the puppies for sure. So now, well, I'm gonna be sharing some smartphone tips too, because you can actually control on your screen the amount of lighting that you get through the picture. So if you put your, I'm gonna kind of like see if I can show here on my cell phone. Uh, my cell phone is actually not that new. But then here, I don't know if you can see. So if you click, you're gonna have, I don't know if you can see here, a little yellow square with a little sun. Maybe it's not so easy to see. But anyways, when you put your finger in the screen, you see a little square. So that square should be always on the puppy's face or the dog face. And then you can increase the lighting by basically pressing the little sun and then pushing it up, or you can decrease the lighting, pushing it down. So that way you can control actually the amount of lighting that your cell phone is kind of like getting, and have a brighter or darker images. And yeah, that's a pretty good way to control how you're getting the pictures taken. So now we have like tip number two. I always tell people to keep it easy and steady. I feel like with backgrounds, sometimes people try to overdo things, and I feel like the simpler, the better. Try to aim for just like plain backdrops if possible, because that way uh, the focus is going to be on the dog, not so much is in what is around the dog. So you can use neutral blankets, for example, or use the rug. Actually, seamless backdrops, you can get them on Amazon. You can get like a plain color, or there are options of like things with designs, but try to get something that is not too busy. They're quite actually not that expensive. And then you can even like tape it to the wall. Even for small puppies, I used to, well, I do actually photograph a lot of like dogs and cats for rescues. And sometimes I use even like wrapping paper that I can put on the wall, and that just give you a little bit of a different look, I will say, if you want something colorful or if you want something with a little pattern. But I will say like the simplest, the better for sure. If you're doing the pictures at home, try to declutter. Of course, you don't want to see, a lot of furniture around or things that don't really add to the picture. So try to pick a space that is, like a very simple and clear, and remove the distractions as much as you can. So yeah, so the third thing will be sit or kneeling down and be at the same level of the puppy. I feel like that's very important because that allow us to kind of like get immersed into their own world. We're very used to see dogs or pets in general from above because they are usually tiny. Well, not tiny, not necessarily all of them, but like especially puppies. And I feel it's very different when we can actually see their frontal, like kind of like face to face. That's way more impactful for sure in a picture. And is an angle that is more engaging for sure. So one thing that I always recommend, if you have like anyone that can help taking the pictures, is just to put the puppies maybe on a table or somewhere where you can raise them up, because when they're on the floor, they're more like free to run or, like kind of like, yeah, they have more space to wander around instead of like being kind of like on top of something. That would also depend on the age of the puppy, because if you photograph a really young puppy, they are usually a lot more quiet. They pretty much sleep all the time. They're not quite active yet. So I will say that's probably the easiest, digamos, yeah, sorry. The easiest way to photograph the pet will be when they're young. But also when they get a little bit older, that they are more active, we can try to use that into our benefit and try to capture more their own personality. So maybe we can just use things like toys to get their attention and try to play with them and try to get them, like on a candid picture playing with the toys. And I think those are things also that people are looking for, just to get uh kind of like what's the personality of each puppy, because like all of them can be very different. Like some puppies can be very playful and some puppies can be a little bit more quiet. So for sure you can capture that on images. So in another smartphone tip would be to use portrait mode. I think that's one of the features that I like the most on the new phones, is like you can get that background kind of like blur, and that also bring the focus to the pet or the subject in general. So that's my favorite mode to photograph. Uh, and that with the fact that we try to have like a more clear background will work really well, to just like try to isolate the puppy into the picture and really make them pop. So yeah. um Another thing is like if you can use a tripod, like a selfie tripod. that can be good too, because like it will help you to be more steady, because I know sometimes we try to move, like when, especially when the puppy is like very active. So sometimes having a help like that can be well, in the sense that pictures are gonna be better, and they're not gonna be move or anything. So that's another tip. So my tip number three will be timing and patience. I feel to be a pet photographer, this is something really, really important, because you have to wait for the right moment to take pictures. And that can be like sometimes for me, when I do like my regular sessions, I can encounter like dogs that are a little bit more shy, that they take a little bit longer to warm up to me and warm up to the camera. And they start slowly kind of like getting more confident until their personality shines through. So I feel like that's something that you have to be aware of. Like just try to plan ahead and try to have like some time, so you're not in a rush. I feel like puppies in particular have a very short attention span, so try to, yeah, aim the sessions to be a little bit shorter compared like to like if for example you're photographing the dog and the mom and the dad, sorry. In that case, if you're photographing the mom and the dad, you can take more time, because usually adult dogs, like they're better in like with waiting and all that. But with puppies, you have to be a little bit quicker for sure. um, I always recommend also pick the best time for the puppy. For some of them can be after their nap. For some of them can be after feeding. Just try to do it when they are more, well, depending what the goal is. Like if you want the pictures like playful and really active, then you pick that time when they are more active to take the pictures. But maybe even like nap time is a very cute time to get beautiful pictures as well. So depending what the goal is, you can kind of like pick the right time for the puppy. Another thing is to use either toys, treats, depending on the age, if it's age appropriate. Uh, fun sounds. I do a lot of different sounds with myself, like with my mouth, when photographing dogs, and I feel like most dogs will respond to sounds that they haven't heard before, or that they kind of like connect with something fun. For example, the squeaky toys, sometimes that kind of like means like playful time for them. So whenever you use a squeaky, some dogs will be alert. um I will whistle or even bark sometimes, uh and that will also kind of like get their attention. And I feel that also get a curious look, because some dogs will be like, what? And you can get some like head tilts and things like that that are super, super cute. A tip with the cell phone will be using the burst mode. That's a pretty good way to capture like action shots, for example, or if the puppy is in that stage where he's like very, very active, you can just use that mode to take a lot of pictures at the same time, and then you can just go back and choose the best one. I actually do that a lot when I photograph puppies with my camera, but you can do that as well with your cell phone. And it's a very good way just to have more variety, and you increase your chances also that the images are gonna be good, and that you're gonna like if you get 10 different images, you pick the best one, basically. So thank you so much. If you want to know more about my business, my business is Vancouver Pet Photography. My website is vancouverpetphotography.com. You can also find me on Instagram, but Vancouver Pet Photography, same as Facebook. You can follow me and have your daily doses of like cuteness. uh, and yeah, feel free to contact me also if you have any questions. And yeah, I'd be happy to help. So thank you so much.